Did the world's most famous man feel like a fraud? Did the man who had everything believe he had nothing? We look at the superstar, we see the gold records, the sold-out concerts, the adoring fans, but what if the music itself told a different story? What if the lyrics he chose, the way he sang them, were confessions? Admissions of a profound and constant failure. A failure to connect, a failure to find peace, a failure to be the man everyone thought he was. The answers are there, hidden in plain sight, in the grooves of the records he left behind. Number 17 was Heartbreak Hotel, A Prophecy. The song was based on a real newspaper article. A man had jumped from a hotel window. His note said only, "I walk a lonely street." Elvis Presley recorded his version of this story in January 1956. He was 21 years old. This was his first recording for RCA Records, his big break. RCA executives were horrified. They thought the song was strange, morbid, and depressing. They said it sounded like it was recorded in a hallway. They warned him it would kill his career before it even started. Elvis didn't listen. He insisted on releasing it. And it became his first million-selling single. Everyone focused on the sound, the echo, the spare, menacing guitar, the bluesy piano. But few people asked why. Why would a young man on the verge of conquering the world choose this song? A song about a place so filled with despair that people go there to be broken together? The lyrics are stark. "Well, since my baby left me, I've found a new place to dwell. It's not a temporary stop, it's a new home." A permanent address, and where is it located? It's down at the end of Lonely Street. This is not a real place. It is a psychological destination, a dead end. The name of the hotel itself is the theme. Heartbreak Hotel. You check in, but you don't check out. The people inside are just as broken. The desk clerk is dressed in black. The bellhop's tears keep flowing. The whole establishment is staffed by sorrow, and the guests are no different. The broken-hearted lovers, they're crying in their gloom. There are other people there, but nobody is connecting. Everyone is locked in their own private misery. It is a portrait of profound isolation. This was 1956. Elvis was not yet the prisoner of fame. He would later become. He was not yet trapped in Graceland, his own gilded hotel at the end of a lonely street. So, where did this feeling come from? Many point to his childhood. He was born a twin. His brother, Jesse Garin, was stillborn. Elvis grew up with the sense of a missing part of himself, an other half that was never there. This created a fundamental loneliness that fame and money could never fill. It was a part of his wiring. He felt this loneliness long before the world made him lonely. The admission of failure in Heartbreak Hotel is not about a failed romance. It's deeper than that. It is an admission of a core, unfixable isolation, a failure to ever feel whole. He was telling the world who he was from the very beginning. He was not just the smiling, hip-shaking boy. He was also the man at the end of Lonely Street. The song wasn't just a hit, it was a statement of intent, and a chilling look into his own future. He would spend the next 20 years living inside that very hotel. Number 16, was he singing about his own ghost? Hank Williams wrote, "I'm so lonesome I could cry" in 1949. It is considered one of the most painfully sad songs ever written. Elvis Presley performed it live during his Aloha from Hawaii concert in 1973. This was a massive global satellite broadcast. Over 1 billion people watched. He was at the peak of his fame. A living legend beamed into homes around the world. In the middle of this spectacular show, he chose to sing this song, a song about complete and utter desolation. The performance is stripped down. It's just Elvis and his acoustic guitar. He introduces it by saying, "I'd like to sing a song that's probably the saddest song I've ever heard." He wasn't just performing, he was testifying, he was telling 1 billion people that this is how he felt. The lyrics paint the picture of nature reflecting a man's inner state. Hear that lonesome whippoorwill, he sounds too blue to fly. The bird is grounded by sadness. The midnight train is whining low, I'm so lonesome I could cry. The world itself is weeping. These are not metaphors. For someone in that state of mind, they are facts. The world appears to be as broken as you are. Then comes the personal reflection. I've never seen a night so long when time goes crawling by. This is the feeling of being trapped in a moment of pain. Time slows down, the dawn will never come. The moon just went behind a cloud to hide its face and cry. Even the heavens are ashamed of this level of sorrow. Why would Elvis, the king, connect so deeply with this? By 1973, his life had become a cage. He was separated from his wife, Priscilla. He saw his daughter, Lisa Marie, far less than he wanted. He was surrounded by his entourage, the Memphis Mafia, but he was profoundly alone. They were employees and friends, yes, but their livelihood depended on him. He could not show them weakness. He could not break down. The only place he could do that was on stage through someone else's words. The failure here is the failure of fame. The ultimate paradox. He had achieved a level of success beyond imagination. He was loved by millions. But this success built a wall around him. It isolated him from normal human connection. He could no longer just go for a walk. He could not just meet someone new. Every interaction was filtered through the lens of him being Elvis Presley. So he took Hank Williams' words and made them his own autobiography. When he sang, "The silence of a falling star lights up a purple sky," he wasn't just singing a pretty line. He was a falling star, bright, spectacular, and burning out in total silence, surrounded by a universe that could watch but could not touch. The admission in this song is brutal. I am the most famous man in the world, and I am so lonesome I could cry. Number 15, did he know it was over before it began? It's Over was recorded in 1966. This was the heart of Elvis's Hollywood period. He was churning out bland, formulaic movies with equally bland soundtracks. He privately hated it. He felt like a joke. His early creative fire had been dampened by contractual obligations. He was rich, famous, and creatively bankrupt. The song It's Over comes from this period, but it doesn't sound like it belongs there. It is a blast of operatic, raw emotion. It sounds like a man at the end of his rope. The song is about the finality of a breakup, but the scale of the music and the power of his vocal performance suggests something much larger. This is not just about a girl leaving. It is about an entire world ending. The lyrics are simple and direct. Golden days before they end, whisper secrets to the wind. He is looking back at a better time, a time that is now gone forever. Your baby doesn't want you anymore. The finality is brutal. There is no hope of reconciliation. It's over. The chorus is a cascade of grief. He sings the word over with everything he has. It is a cry of pure pain, but it is also a statement of resignation. It's over. It's over. Your baby doesn't want you anymore. He is accepting a terrible truth. The failure admitted in this song is the failure to hold on. To what, exactly? On the surface, a relationship. But in the context of his life in 1966, it was much more. It was his artistic integrity. It was his connection to the raw, rebellious music he had started with. The rock and roll revolution he had helped start was now happening without him. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan. They were changing the world. And Elvis was stuck in Hollywood, singing to movie props. He knew it was over. That era of his life, the one that mattered, was gone. He had traded his artistic soul for financial security. And he knew it was a bad deal. The song is a lament for his own creative death. Tender nights before they fly send falling stars that seem to cry. The falling stars were his own fading talent, his own dimming light. The song builds to a huge, dramatic climax. His voice soars, full of pain and power. It is the sound of a man screaming from inside a prison of his own making. He was the biggest star in the world, and he was completely powerless to change his circumstances. He had to wait out his movie contracts. He had to keep smiling for the cameras. It's Over is the sound of his real feelings breaking through the Hollywood facade. It is an admission of artistic failure. He had lost his way, he had sold out, and he knew it. The song is not just a breakup anthem. It is a eulogy for the king that was, and a desperate, unspoken plea for a way back. Rule number 14 was he crushed by the weight of his own life. In 1970, Elvis was back on top. His 1968 comeback special had reignited his career. He was performing in Las Vegas, a conquering hero. He was recording some of the best music of his life in Memphis. He seemed invincible, but then he recorded a song called You Gave Me a Mountain. It was written by Marty Robbins, but Elvis inhabited it. He made it sound like his own life story. The song is a list. A list of all the burdens a man has had to carry. It starts with loss. Born in the heat of the desert, my mother died giving me life. It's not autobiographical in the literal sense. Elvis's mother, Gladys, died in 1958, and it devastated him. But the line establishes a theme of life being a struggle from the very first breath. The song continues to pile on the pain. A friend betrays him. A woman leaves him for that friend, taking his child with her. Each event is another stone on his back. This time, Lord, you gave me a mountain I may never climb. The feeling is one of being overwhelmed. Not by one single tragedy, but by the accumulated weight of many. This is where the song connects so deeply to Elvis's reality. By 1970, his life was incredibly complex. He was running a massive enterprise. He was responsible for the livelihoods of his father, his friends, his band, and countless others. He was dealing with the pressures of his renewed fame. His marriage to Priscilla was beginning to crumble under the strain. He was already relying on prescription medications to keep up with the grueling schedule of performing and recording. The failure he admits in the song is the failure to cope, the failure to be strong enough. The king was supposed to be larger than life. He was supposed to be able to handle anything, but this song is a confession. It is too much. It isn't a hill any longer. You gave me a mountain this time. The problems were no longer small obstacles. They had become a single insurmountable peak. He performed this song with incredible passion. It became a staple of his live shows. When he sang it, you could see the strain on his face. He wasn't just acting. He was channeling his own exhaustion, his own feeling of being trapped under the weight of his own legend. The song also contains a deep sense of injustice. She and my friend were the best friends I had in this world. The betrayal is personal. It feels like the world is conspiring against him. This mirrored the paranoia that was beginning to take hold in his isolated life. He trusted very few people. He felt that many were just using him for his money and fame. You Gave Me a Mountain is the sound of a man buckling under pressure. It is an admission that he is not a superhero. He is just a man. And the life he built has become a prison. A mountain he has to try and climb every single day, knowing he might never reach the top. Number 13. Did he blame himself for everything? Elvis recorded the song Fool in 1972. It was released around the same time his separation from Priscilla became public. The connection is impossible to ignore. The song is a raw, self-lacerating admission of guilt. It is not a song about sadness or heartbreak. It is a song about self-blame. The narrator knows exactly who is responsible for his misery, himself. The lyrics are a direct confession. Fool! You didn't listen, did you, fool? He is talking to himself in the mirror, accusing himself of ignoring all the warning signs. You had to see for yourself, now you're sitting all by yourself. The tone is not sympathetic. It is mocking. He is kicking himself when he is already down. This was a profound psychological insight into how Elvis dealt with the collapse of his marriage. He could have blamed Priscilla. He could have blamed the pressures of his career. But in this song, he takes all the blame. You played the game of love and you thought you were so smart. He confesses to arrogance, to thinking he could control the situation, to treating love like a game he was destined to win. The failure here is a failure of character, a failure of humility. He admits he was arrogant, he was careless, he took his relationship for granted. She told you she'd leave you, she told you from the start. You wouldn't believe her, you said she wouldn't dare. He confesses to not listening, to not respecting his partner's feelings. It is a devastatingly honest self-assessment. The music itself is dramatic and powerful. It underscores the intensity of his self-hatred. When he sings the word fool, it is an explosion of frustration. He is angry not at her, but at himself. For a man who is constantly told he was the king, that he was perfect, this is a remarkable admission. He is telling the world that he is deeply flawed, that he makes stupid, selfish mistakes. This song pulls back the curtain on the private Elvis. The man who, after the crowds were gone, had to live with his own choices. It shows a man capable of deep introspection and regret. He wasn't just the victim of his circumstances. He was an active participant in his own downfall. The song is not just about Priscilla. It reflects a larger pattern in his life. He made poor choices with his movie career. He allowed his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, to control him in ways that were creatively stifling. He developed unhealthy habits that would later consume him. Fool is an admission that he knew better. He saw the warnings, and he chose to ignore them. Now you know the golden rule: the one who loves the least is the fool. He realizes too late that his cool, detached facade, his hinged persona, was the very thing that cost him everything. It is a painful and gut-wrenching confession. Number 12. Was he the loneliest man in the world? The song is Solitaire. Elvis recorded it in 1975. By this point, his health was in serious decline. His isolation was almost complete. He spent most of his time in his bedroom at Graceland, surrounded by books and a few trusted friends, but cut off from the real world. The song, written by Neil Sedaka and Phil Cody, could have been written specifically about him. It is a perfect portrait of a man trapped in a lonely kingdom of his own creation. The song uses the metaphor of a card game. A man sits alone, playing solitaire. This is not a game of skill or competition. It is a game of one, a way to pass the time when there is no one else. There was a man, a lonely man, who lost his love through his indifference. The cause of the loneliness is stated immediately. It was his own fault, his own coldness. The lyrics describe a world devoid of real connection. A little hope goes up in smoke. Just how it goes, everyone knows. There is a sense of hopeless routine to his misery. He is stuck in a loop of loneliness, and while he plays, he remembers a time she was his queen. He is haunted by the past. By the love he pushed away. This mirrored Elvis's life perfectly. He was divorced from Priscilla, he dated other women, but he never found that same connection again. He was surrounded by people, but he was the center of their universe, not a part of it. He was the sun, and they were the planets. There was no one who could meet him as an equal. He was, in effect, always playing solitaire. The failure admitted in solitaire is the failure to maintain human connection. He had pushed people away, his fame had built walls, his lifestyle had created a chasm between him and the rest of humanity. His is a silent world, a world of his own, a world of little kings and queens. Graceland had become this world. A place where he was the absolute monarch, but a monarch with no subjects he could truly talk to. His vocal performance on the track is heartbreaking. It is subdued, filled with a weary resignation. He is not shouting in pain, he is whispering from a place of chronic, unending loneliness. When he sings, he'll be alone forever. It does not sound like a dramatic statement. It sounds like a simple fact, a truth he had come to accept. The song's imagery is powerful. A deck of cards, a sad old heart, he's slowly falling all apart. This was the literal truth for Elvis in 1975. His body was failing, his spirit was broken. He was a man slowly falling apart in his room, playing out the last hand of a game he had already lost. Solitaire is one of his most devastating recordings. It is an admission that the king was a lonely man, that the fame, the money, the adoration, none of it could fill the empty space inside him. It was a failure not of career, but of life itself. The failure to find a single person to share it with. It's number 11. Could he ever find peace? Elvis Presley loved gospel music more than any other genre. It was the music of his childhood, the music he returned to in private moments throughout his life. It was his source of comfort and hope. One of his most famous gospel recordings is Peace in the Valley. He first performed it on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1957. It was a sincere and beautiful performance, but the song and his lifelong return to it reveals a profound struggle. The song is a plea, a prayer for a place of rest and tranquility. Oh well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go on. It is the song of a traveler on a difficult journey, a journey through a world of pain and trouble, till the Lord comes and calls me away. Peace is not something to be found in this life. It is something that only comes after death. The lyrics describe a perfect, idyllic place. There the bear will be gentle, and the wolves will be tame, a place where all conflict is gone, and the lion shall lay down by the lamb. It is a vision of heaven, a place where the struggles of the world no longer exist, and the valley of peace I'll call my home. The very existence of this song in his repertoire is an admission of failure. It is an admission that he could not find peace on earth. Despite all his success, he was a man in turmoil. He was not at rest. He was tired and so weary. This was true in 1957, when he was a young man dealing with the sudden explosion of fame. And it was even more true in the 1970s, when he was a man struggling with addiction, poor health, and crushing loneliness. He sang this song and other gospel hymns constantly, in his hotel rooms after shows, at home at Graceland with friends. It was not a performance, it was a necessity. It was his attempt to find a moment of solace in a life that offered him very little. The failure is a spiritual one. He believed in God, he believed in the promise of an afterlife, but he was trapped in a very worldly existence. An existence filled with temptation, pressure, and isolation. His life was the opposite of the peace described in the song. It was a storm, a chaotic whirlwind of concerts, travel, and public scrutiny. By constantly singing about a future peace, he was admitting his failure to find a present one. He was always looking for an escape, a way out of the life he had created. Gospel music was his temporary refuge. But the peace it offered was always just out of reach. It was a promise for tomorrow, not a reality for today. The song is beautiful and hopeful, but underneath that hope is a deep sadness, the sadness of a man who feels he does not belong in this world. A man who is just passing through, waiting for the call to go to his real home, a place of peace he could only dream about. Number 10, was he pleading for the world's soul or his own? In December 1968, Elvis Presley stood on a stage in a black leather suit and reclaimed his throne. The finale of his comeback special was not a rock and roll song. It was a new song written specifically for the show called If I Can Dream. It was a passionate, soaring plea for a better world. It was recorded just 2 months after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. The country was in turmoil. The song spoke directly to that pain, but it also spoke directly to Elvis's own pain. The lyrics are about finding hope in a world full of darkness. There must be lights burning brighter somewhere, got to be birds flying higher in a sky more blue. It is a statement of faith, a refusal to give in to despair. If I can dream of a better land, where all my brothers walk hand in hand, tell me why, oh why can't my dream come true? On the surface, this is a song about social harmony, about peace and understanding, and it is. But for Elvis, it was also deeply personal. He had spent the last 8 years in a creative wasteland. He had been lost in the Hollywood wilderness. The darkened room he sings about could easily be a soundstage for one of his terrible movies. The cold, gray dawn could be the realization that his career had stalled. The failure admitted here is twofold. First, it's a recognition of the world's failure, a failure to live up to its own ideals of peace and equality. But more personally, it is an admission of his own failure, a failure to use his voice for something that mattered. He had been silent on social issues, he had been making frivolous entertainment while the world was changing around him. If I Can Dream was his re-entry into that world. It was him saying, I have something to say. As long as a man has the strength to dream, he can redeem his soul and fly. He wasn't just talking about mankind, he was talking about himself. He was redeeming his own soul. He was trying to fly again after having his wings clipped for years. His performance is one of the most powerful of his career. He is on his knees, sweat pouring down his face, singing with every ounce of his being. He is not just performing a song. He is having a catharsis. He is releasing all the frustration and pent-up passion of the last decade. The song was a massive risk. His manager, Colonel Parker, wanted him to end the show with a Christmas song. Elvis fought for this one. He believed in it. It was his declaration of independence, his refusal to be irrelevant. The admission is that he had been irrelevant. He had failed to be the artist he could have been. If I Can Dream is not just a dream for a better world. It is a dream of a better self, a version of Elvis Presley who was more than just a movie star, a version who could connect with the real hopes and fears of his audience. It was a promise to himself and to the world that he was back, and this time he was going to make it count. Number 9, was he confessing to emotional cruelty? By 1976, Elvis was in a very dark place. His live performances were becoming erratic. His health was visibly failing. He recorded the song Hurt, an old rock and roll ballad from the 1950s. But his version was something else entirely. It was a terrifying operatic howl of pain. It became a centerpiece of his final concerts. The song is a confession from a man who has wronged his lover. And now he is getting what he deserves. I'm so hurt to think that you would lie to me. He starts by blaming her. But the song quickly turns inward. I'm hurt much more than you'll ever know. Yes, darling, I'm so hurt because I still love you so. The pain he feels is a direct result of his own actions. The key admission comes in the bridge, but, I'm not the first one to be fooled, and I'm not the last one who'll be hurt by you. He is trying to deflect blame, but the real emotional core of the song is his own guilt. The unspoken truth is that he was the one who was careless. He was the one who caused the pain in the first place. This song is a direct parallel to his relationship with Priscilla. He loved her, but his lifestyle, his infidelities, his emotional distance all contributed to the end of their marriage. He had hurt her, and now, years later, he was the one who was hurt. The loneliness and regret were eating him alive. The failure confessed in hurt is the failure of empathy, the failure to consider another person's feelings. It is the confession of a selfish man who only realized what he had after he lost it. He had played the part of the cool, detached rock star for too long. He had believed his own myth, and in doing so, he had destroyed the most important relationship in his life. His live performances of this song were legendary and frightening. He would pour all of his physical and emotional agony into it. His voice, though damaged by his lifestyle, could still summon incredible power. He would end the song with a huge, sustained note, a scream of pure anguish. Sometimes he would collapse to the stage floor after singing it. It was not an act. It was an exorcism. He was not just singing about a lost love. He was singing about a lost life. He was singing about all the pain he had caused and all the pain he now felt. The physical pain from his deteriorating health. The emotional pain from his isolation. The spiritual pain from his regrets. Hurt is one of the rawest admissions of failure in his entire catalog. It is the sound of a man with no defenses left. He is not the king. He is not a legend. He is just a man in agony, confessing his sins to a crowd of thousands night after night. He was admitting that he was the architect of his own misery. Number 8. Was this his final desperate prayer? In June 1977, just 2 months before he died, Elvis gave one of his last televised performances. He was overweight, sick, and struggling to get through the show. But then he sat down at the piano. He was not a great piano player, but he could play well enough. He began to sing Unchained Melody. The performance is almost unbearable to watch. It is a man at the end of his life, laying his soul bare for the last time. The song, on the surface, is a simple love song, a plea from a lonely person to their distant lover. Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch. It is a song of longing and waiting. Time goes by so slowly, and time can do so much. Are you still mine? But coming from this dying man, the lyrics take on a completely different meaning. Who is he singing to? Is it a past love like Priscilla? Or is he singing to God? Is it a prayer? I need your love. God, speed your love to me. The desperation in his voice is profound. He sounds like a lost soul, crying out in the wilderness. The failure admitted here is the most fundamental of all. the failure to survive. He knew he was dying, his body was giving out. The years of abuse from prescription drugs had taken their toll. He was a prisoner in his own failing body. Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea, to the open arms of the sea. The sea is the end. It is oblivion. It is death. He is singing about his own journey towards it. He struggles through the song. His voice cracks. He is sweating profusely. But he is completely committed to the performance. It is as if he knows this is his last chance to say what he needs to say. The band swells behind him, but all eyes are on this broken man at the piano. The climax of the song is a testament to his enduring spirit. He summons a reserve of power that seems impossible. I need your love. I need your love. It is not a request. It is a primal scream, a scream for salvation, a scream against the dying of the light. This performance is a confession of complete and utter defeat. He had failed to take care of himself. He had failed to find a way to live with the pressures of his life. He had failed to protect the gift he had been given. All the money, all the fame, all the adoration could not save him from himself. When the song ends, he looks exhausted, but also relieved. He has said it all. He has shown the world the truth. The king was gone. In his place was a sick, lonely man singing a desperate prayer for love and release. It is one of the most courageous and heartbreaking performances in music history. It is a public admission of his final, tragic failure. Number 7, was he proud or was he sorry? Frank Sinatra made My Way his signature song, but when Elvis Presley sang it, the song became something else. It was not a victory lap. It was a defiant and deeply sad justification of a life filled with regret. He began performing it in the 1970s, and it became a powerful statement in his concerts. The song is a look back at a life lived on one's own terms. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. It is a song sung from the perspective of a man who knows his time is short. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway. And more, much more than this, I did it my way. On the surface, it is a song of pride, of a man who refused to compromise, and for Elvis, this was partly true. He had broken the rules of music and culture in the 1950s. He had come back from his Hollywood exile on his own terms in 1968. He was a true original, but underneath the pride, there is a deep well of sorrow. The lyrics admit to mistakes. Regrets, I've had a few. But then again, too few to mention. The way Elvis sings this line is telling. It sounds like he is trying to convince himself as much as the audience. The truth was, by the 1970s, his life was filled with regrets. His failed marriage, his distance from his daughter, his squandered talent in the movies, his failing health. He had more than a few. The failure admitted in My Way is a complex one. It is the failure to listen. The failure to take advice. The failure to change course when he knew he was on the wrong path. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. This is a direct confession of his own hubris. He took on a lifestyle that no human being could sustain. And he did it his way. The song also reveals his profound isolation. I've loved, I've laughed and cried. I've had my fill, my share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it also amusing. This is the saddest line in the song. It is not amusing. It is tragic. It is the sound of a man trying to distance himself from his own pain by pretending it doesn't matter. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has naught. This is the core of his defense. He is saying that his identity, his stubborn refusal to be anything other than himself, was all he had. Even if that self was self-destructive, even if doing it his way led to ruin, it was the only way he knew. When Elvis sang My Way, he was not just singing a song, he was delivering his own eulogy. He was justifying a life of spectacular triumphs and catastrophic failures. It was an admission that his greatest strength, his powerful individuality, was also his fatal flaw. Number 6 was he admitting his marriage was a prison. The song Separate Ways was released in 1972, coinciding with his separation from Priscilla. It is one of his most direct and painful autobiographical songs. There is no metaphor here. It is a plain spoken admission of the end of a marriage, written from a place of deep sadness and resignation. The song is a conversation, a man speaking to his wife as they decide to end their life together. Separate ways, we're going our separate ways, and if we can't be happy, then it's better this way. It is an attempt to be mature, to find a peaceful end to something that was once beautiful, but the pain is right there under the surface. There was a time when I was you, and you were me, but that's all over now. He is acknowledging the deep connection they once had. A connection that has now been broken. It's a shame we can't go on, but something's wrong and it's plain to see. The most devastating part of the song is the mention of their child. We can't live together, little one and me. He corrects himself, little one and you and me. This lyrical stumble, whether intentional or not, is heartbreaking. It reveals his own confusion and pain. He is trying to do the right thing for his daughter, but the family is fracturing. The failure admitted in separate ways is the failure of a husband and a father, a failure to keep a family together. Elvis loved Priscilla, and he adored his daughter, Lisa Marie. But his life as a superstar was incompatible with a normal family life. The temptations, the constant bubble of fame he lived in, it created a world that Priscilla could no longer be a part of. The song is not angry or bitter. That is what makes it so sad. It is filled with a sense of inevitability. It's over. We know it's over. There is no fight left. They have both accepted the end. Let's not drag it on. It's better for us, believe me. This song is a confession of powerlessness. The great Elvis Presley, the man who could have anything he wanted, could not fix his own marriage. He could not create a stable home for his child. He was admitting that in the most important area of his life, his personal relationships, he had failed. The music is somber and understated. His voice is full of sorrow. He is not performing. He is confessing. He is sharing his private grief with the world. Separate Ways is a brutal and honest look at the human cost of his fame. He could be the king to the world, but he could not be the husband his wife needed him to be. It is a quiet admission of a monumental failure. Number 5 was he searching for a love he had already lost. Kentucky Rain was recorded in 1969 during his legendary sessions at American Sound Studio in Memphis. This was a period of incredible creative resurgence for him. The song is a mini-movie, a story of a man desperately searching for a woman who has left him. It is a song about obsession and desperation. The story is simple. The narrator is walking and hitchhiking through the cold Kentucky rain. He is looking for a woman who ran away from him. 7 lonely days and a dozen towns ago, I reached out one night and you were gone. The reason she left is not explained. All we know is his desperate need to find her. Kentucky rain keeps pouring down, and up ahead's another town that I'll go walking through. He is relentless. He will not stop. The rain is a physical representation of his misery. He is soaked in it, both literally and figuratively. He talks to the people he meets, asking if they have seen her, but no one's seen you, and I'm alone. It's on a road I'm not sure of. He is lost, both physically and emotionally. He is chasing a ghost. The failure in this song is the failure to appreciate what you have. The narrator admits his own fault. I love you, and I've been a fool. He knows he is the reason she is gone. He took her for granted. Now, he is paying the price, walking through an endless cold rain. This reflects a deep-seated fear in Elvis's own life. The fear of loss. He had lost his mother. He feared losing his wife and family. The song is a paranoid fantasy of that fear coming true. It is the story of a man who realizes his mistakes too late. The intensity of his performance makes the song so powerful. You can feel his desperation. His voice builds from a determined walk to a frantic run. Show me a sign to help me find my way, he pleads to the sky. It is a prayer born of pure panic. The song is a race against time. He feels if he can just find her, he can fix everything. He can apologize, he can make it right, but there is a sense that he will never find her, that he is doomed to walk in the Kentucky rain forever, paying for his mistakes. This is an admission of a very common human failure, the failure to be present in a relationship, to be a good partner, to not be a fool. Elvis, whose life was a whirlwind of activity, likely felt this deeply. He was often physically and emotionally absent from his own life. Kentucky Rain is the nightmare that results from that absence. It is the sound of a man trying to outrun his own regrets. Number 4, was he the king of a lonely kingdom? The spoken word section of Are You Lonesome Tonight is one of the most famous and strangest moments in Elvis's entire discography. The song itself is an old ballad from the 1920s, but Elvis's 1960 version made it iconic. The spoken bridge transforms it from a simple song of heartbreak into a bizarre, lonely monologue. The song begins with a straightforward question. Are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? It is a man speaking to his former lover, wondering if she feels the same emptiness that he does. Does your memory stray to a brighter sunny day when I kissed you and called you sweetheart? He is lost in nostalgia for a time that is gone. Then the music drops out, and Elvis begins to speak. He compares their relationship to a play. The world is a stage, and each must play a part. He was the star. She was his leading lady. But now the play is over. You read your lines so cleverly and never missed a cue. Then you read the line, I don't love you. And you stood there and I stood there, and you said the play was over. This metaphor is deeply revealing. For Elvis, was love real, or was it just a performance? A part he was playing. He lived his entire adult life on a stage. Every move was watched. Every word was recorded. It is possible that he began to see his entire life, even his most intimate moments, as just another scene. The failure admitted here is profound. It is the failure to have an authentic life, a failure to connect with another person on a real human level outside of the play. He is the star of the show, but he is standing on an empty stage. The stage is bare, and I'm standing there with emptiness all around. He even admits his own insincerity. I had to say you were faithless, but darling, I'm not sure that I was right. He confesses that his anger and accusations might have just been part of the script, another line he had to deliver. The final lines of the monologue are the most heartbreaking. But I'd rather go on hearing your lies than to go on living without you. He is so desperate for connection, even a fake one, that he is willing to continue the play. He would rather live in a fantasy than face the reality of his loneliness. This was recorded in 1960, long before his deepest isolation set in, but it predicted the future. His life became a performance. Graceland was his stage, the Memphis Mafia were his supporting cast, and he was the star playing the part of Elvis Presley. Are You Lonesome Tonight? Is the sound of a man who is not sure where the performance ends and real life begins. It is an admission that his entire world might be a fiction, and in that fiction, he is utterly alone. Number 3, did he feel guilty for his own escape? In 1969, Elvis recorded In the Ghetto. It was a huge departure for him. It was a protest song, a song with a social message. Elvis had always avoided politics, but this song, written by Mac Davis, spoke to him on a deep level. It was the story of a child born into poverty in Chicago, a life of hunger and desperation that ends in violence. It is a cycle of poverty and hopelessness. The song tells a stark story. On a cold and gray Chicago morn, another little baby child is born in the ghetto. The world is bleak from the very first line. And his mama cries. 'Cause if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed. This is not a celebration of life. It is a tragedy from the first breath. The song follows the boy's life. He grows up hungry. He learns to steal and fight. He buys a gun. He tries to run, but he is shot and killed. And as he dies, another baby is born. The cycle begins again, and his mama cries. Why did this song resonate so deeply with Elvis? Because he was that child. He was born in a 2-room shack in Tupelo, Mississippi. He grew up in poverty. He knew what it was like to be hungry. He knew what it was like to live in the poor part of town. He had escaped the ghetto. The failure admitted in this song is a form of survivor's guilt. He got out. But what about all the people who didn't? What about the other poor kids from his neighborhood? He had become one of the wealthiest entertainers in the world. He lived in a mansion. He was completely removed from the world of poverty he had come from. By singing this song, he was acknowledging that world. He was using his massive platform to shine a light on a problem that polite society often ignored. He was saying, "This is real. I know it's real because I was there." His performance is filled with a quiet, compassionate anger. He is not preachy. He is a storyteller. He's a witness. He is telling a story that he understands in his bones. The song is an admission that his personal success did not solve the larger problem. It is a confession that he felt a responsibility to the world he had left behind. In the Ghetto is not just a song about poverty. It is a song about the failure of society to care for its most vulnerable, and for Elvis, it was a personal admission. An admission that he could never fully escape his past, and a confession of the guilt he felt for being one of the lucky few who made it out. He was using his voice to speak for those who had no voice. For the boy who was born and died in the ghetto, just as he himself had once been. Number 2, was he trapped by his own paranoia? Suspicious Minds is one of Elvis's greatest and most iconic songs. Recorded in 1969, it was his last #1 hit in the United States. It is a song of incredible energy, passion, and desperation. On the surface, it is about a relationship being destroyed by a lack of trust. But it is also a perfect metaphor for his entire life. The song's central conflict is clear from the first line. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out. Because I love you too much, baby. He feels trapped, imprisoned by the relationship. But he is unable to leave. The source of the trap is suspicion. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, and we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. The foundation of the relationship is broken. There is no trust. Every action is questioned. Why can't you see what you're doing to me when you don't believe a word I say? This directly mirrored the state of his marriage to Priscilla, but it also mirrored his entire existence. By 1969, Elvis was trapped by his own fame. He could not walk out. He was surrounded by people, but who could he really trust? Were they his friends, or were they just employees paid to be there? Did the women he met love him, or did they love the idea of him? He lived in a world of suspicious minds. He was a commodity, a business. Every person who entered his circle had a potential angle. This created a deep and abiding paranoia. The song is the soundtrack to that paranoia. It is frantic, relentless, and has a false ending where the music fades out and then comes roaring back. This structure makes the listener feel trapped, just like the singer. There is no escape. The failure confessed in Suspicious Minds is the failure to trust. The failure to have a normal, healthy human relationship. He is pleading for trust, but he himself is unable to give it. He is so caught up in the trap of his own life that he cannot see a way out. The line, "I'm caught in a trap," is the key. He was. His fame, which had given him everything, had also taken everything that was normal and real. He could not go to a store. He could not walk down the street. He was a prisoner in Graceland, a prisoner on tour. The song is a desperate cry for freedom. Freedom from suspicion. Freedom from the trap of being Elvis Presley. He sings the song with a desperate, breathless energy. It is not a song of love. It is a song of panic. He is begging for a way out of the prison he is in. But the song offers no resolution. It just fades out, with him repeating, "We're caught in a trap," over and over. It is an admission that he is stuck and he will never get out. Number 1, did he know he had failed the one person who mattered most? The song is Always on My Mind. Elvis recorded it in 1972, just a few weeks after he and Priscilla separated. It is perhaps his most poignant and direct confession of failure. It is a song of profound regret, an apology from a man who knows he has made a terrible mistake. The lyrics are a simple, devastating admission of neglect. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. He is not making excuses. He is listing his own failures as a husband, little things I should have said and done. I just never took the time. This is the heart of the tragedy. It was not a lack of love. It was a lack of attention, a failure of presence. He was so consumed by his career, by the demands of being Elvis, that he failed to be a partner. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. He is saying that he loved her, even when he was not showing it, that she was the center of his world, even when his actions suggested otherwise. It is a desperate plea for understanding, a hope that his intentions will be seen, even though his actions were wrong. This is the ultimate failure for him. He had conquered the world. He had achieved every professional goal imaginable. But he had failed in his private life. He had lost his family, and he knew exactly why. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. Give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. It is a plea for a second chance that he knows he will not get. The sadness in his voice is immense. This is not the powerful king of Las Vegas. This is a broken, heartbroken man. He is stripped bare of all his defenses. All the swagger is gone. All that is left is regret. The song is a direct message to Priscilla. He released it for the whole world to hear. It was a public apology, a public admission of his guilt. He was telling her and the world that he had failed. He had not been the man he should have been. Always on My Mind is the most gut-wrenching admission of failure in his entire body of work because it is the most personal. It is not about the pressures of fame or the loneliness of the road. It is about a man and a woman. It is about love lost through carelessness. It is a timeless human tragedy. And for Elvis Presley, a man who had everything, it was a confession that he had lost the one thing he could not replace. And he had no one to blame but himself.